welcome to Inversion. We are so thrilled to have you. First, we're going to start with some pre-recorded remarks from Congressman Auchincloss. After that pre-recorded audio, we are going to ask that Representative Vitolo come to the stage, the end of the stage, and we will hand a mic to give those remarks and keep it moving. All right, and first, Congressman Auchincloss.
Hey, Abilities Dance Boston, congratulations on your $10,000 grant from the National Endowment for the Arts. As one of the leading employers of dancers with disabilities, your work is an important tool of representation, and I take inspiration from it as I continue to advocate for disability rights in Congress.
Thank you, Congressman Auchincloss. And now, can we have Representative Vitolo come? And we are going to make it together. Yes. Yay for access and support. I'm going to ask that Representative Vitolo do all of that over again. I appreciate you so that our live stream audience knows and so that some of us in the audience might know too. And then we're all going to pretend like you did not see this dress, and I'm going to come back again. All right.
Thank you. I had intended on taking less time so we could spend more time enjoying the show, but I'll do it twice. So nice. My name is Representative Tommy Vitolo, and I serve in the Massachusetts House of Representatives. One of my committee assignments is the Joint Committee for Arts, Tourism, and Cultural Development. And so I have the great privilege of seeing all kinds of different performances, and this has really become my favorite. In fact, it's got two different items that I care about a lot, both Abilities Dance and Gateway Arts. Both have ties to Brookline, my community, and both continue to inspire me. I find I learn much more in this environment by sitting quietly and listening and watching and thinking. And so I'm going to get back to doing that with all of you.
Hello. My name is Elise Patterson. I'm the founder, executive, and artistic director of Abilities Dance. We're so thrilled to have you, whether it be in person here in Boston or live stream from audiences around the world. We really appreciate having you as part of our mission of uplifting intersectional disability rights in the greater Boston area and beyond. Wonderful. So, I made a checklist of things because there are things I have to say and things that I need to say and want to say. All right. Let's start with access. Access. We have our lovely ASL interpreters here on the side for our live and live streamed audiences. We have live captioning that is done from our remote captioner, Terry. That is either a part of our YouTube premiere, or there are QR codes along the different signs that you might have done when you enter, where you can click on that from your phone and then use those and read along, so you can have caption access on your phones or mobile devices. And we have audio descriptions, where those are, if you're new to that, words that explain movements for blind and low vision audiences, that is embedded into the music to have not just basic narration, but also descriptive, basic movement, descriptive narration, that was written by me, but edited by our wonderful audio descriptions editor, Amber Piercy, who identifies as blind, so that those are edited by someone from that community, and not with my own biases, who's in the audience, so thank you, Amber. We also have a virtual program, which is also on a QR code on any of the signs. They're also on our website, abilitiesdanceboston.org/events/inversion, that you can check it out and see all of the different names of folks who have brought this show into being. And I also just made it at 3 p.m., so I didn't have time to print it, but we do what we can. But the graphic design skills, unmatched. So I just wanted to say thank you to our corporate sponsors, both Rockland Trust and Eastern Bank, our first corporate sponsors. So we really appreciate your support and want to thank you for that. Thank you to both our project and organizational funders, without which this work would absolutely not be possible. All of those names are listed in our program that you can read. I don't want to forget any names, so I'm just going to direct you there and just say thank you again for your support for Abilities and for making all of this work be possible, as well as paying our administrators and artists as equitably as possible. So thank you. In addition, this work has evolved from not just a ballet, but this wonderful, fantastic, multidisciplinary project that has involved a few community partners, without which this Inversion Ballet wouldn't be what you see today. First, we have Gateway Arts, who contributed different painted canvases that were created, which we hired the artists for, as always. For the paintings that were done by disabled artists that listened to Andrew's music and then just kind of painted to that vibe. And then we're kind of this back and forth feedback, seeing some of the creation, and then that added some arm movements, and it was just this wonderful back and forth. So thank you. They have a table in the lobby that you can see, if you haven't yet, on more information of their fantastic organization. Another Brookline-based org where we are just all looking to support as many disabled artists in our region as possible. So thank you. And next we have Commonwealth Circus, from which we are literally inverting, and from which they were so grateful in having their staff and their leader there teach me about different circus, allowing me to kind of adapt to my body and just make some amazing aerial work that you'll see later on. So thank you to those folks as well, and please check them out in JP. They are wonderful and adaptive and fantastic humans, so thank you. And in addition, for music, our wonderful director of music, Andrew Cho, has created a completely new score for a 7-person orchestra, which he will be conducting tonight. And those musicians are Tim Hall with saxophone, as well as the rest of the musicians whose names in the program, and I don't want to forget anyone's name, are with New England Film Orchestra. And so I encourage you to look at our program to see those names and say thank you to them if you see them, because they really did a phenomenal job in bringing Andrew's music to life. And all that said, now we did the thank you, a little code of conduct here that we're starting to do at these shows now. So we do have a mandatory mask mandate in place. If you are not actively eating or drinking, we want to protect our most high-risk folks, both in the audience as well as in backstage with our artists and administrators and everyone in our space and community. So thank you for adhering to that. If you don't, we have masks. And if you don't feel like that is for you, then you can catch the virtual version because we want to keep the live folks in here as safe as possible. In addition, something that I had to say recently, and I'm now just deciding to make that a part of my every show act as a part of a code of conduct. We come from so many diverse identities, both with visible and invisible disabilities, as well as diverse identities within and outside of the disabled community. And those differences are what make us amazing and not a deficit or any type of burden. So we do not tolerate any type of making fun of or bullying folks for disabilities or any other identity as well. If I hear that, I will ask you to leave immediately, regardless of audience, backstage, wherever it is. We have a zero tolerance policy, and that is to continue the safe space that I wanted, so I created it, and to continue upholding that. So thank you for upholding those values as well. Fantastic. Now into the show. So we have a couple acts, 3 scenes, each scene about 10 to 15 minutes, so each act being about 45 minutes. There will be a 20-minute intermission in between scene 3 and scene 4. During that intermission, I invite you to go into the lobby where you can purchase t-shirts, for our live audience, purchase t-shirts, pre-buy books that we have in our studio, just not here, and we'll have tomorrow, inside their studios where I and other disabled artists across the country were featured, as well as donate. For our virtual audiences, you can absolutely email us if you're interested in purchasing either of those, and we will make it happen and follow up with you. In addition to donating, you can go to our abilitiesdanceboston.org/donate page if you would like to donate, or if you would like to donate here in the audience, we have a dip jar where you can dip your credit card in to make sure that those purchases are captured. And we do not have Q&A after this show, but we do invite positive feedback over email at our abilitiesdanceboston@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to know what resonated or stuck out with you, and to keep those elements going as we continue creating even more, hopefully more fantastic shows with a bunch of folks involved. And I want to give a big shout out to all of the artists and administrators and all of the people who made this work possible. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate you. So many folks appreciate you, and I know that you are going to shine, whether it be on stage, behind the scenes, wherever you are. I see you and I appreciate you, so thank you. And a special, special shout out to our director of music, Andrew Cho, our kind of co-conspirator that has kind of started as asking the question, instead of a ballet like Firebird, where we redesign the story to retrofit ourselves into it, what if we created our own story and added our own identities and cultures from the very beginning? And that is what created Inversion Ballet today. So with that, forgot the actual safety stuff. 1 second. So, please take a moment to locate all of the lighted exit signs in the theater in case of an emergency. Ushers are standing by to assist you. As far as lights go, we will not have any flashing lights. Woo! For any of us who are photosensitive. That also means that we, while I do not actually care if you take pictures and vids for socials, please do at Abilities Dance Boston. I do care if they're going to be flashing or bright screens. So please take a moment to take any flashes off your screen or dim the brightness on your phone. If you do not know how to do that, then just keep your phone in and enjoy the wonderful show and tell all of your folks to come through because we would love to have you. We know that there's been difficulty with registering, so we hope that you can tell friends who might have had difficulty to please call the box office or talk to them as you're going out to get even more folks registered for tomorrow night, live or live stream. And we hope to see you there. All right? Fantastic. Well, I thank you. I appreciate you. Let's go back to that question. What if we created our own story and put ourselves in the narrative seat? And thank you to my co-conspirator, Andrew Cho, for bringing that story to life. Enjoy.
Now arriving at
The New Boston. Welcome to the New Boston. Everything as we know it has been inverted, Time is not linear, but a collision of present and past. Issues that have been deemed too unbecoming to discuss for the greater good have been opened up for the world to see and actively dismantle. Journey starts in this inverted time of past meets present. Gal pals Kylie, Sam, and Claire form a triangle where the white suffragette dresses fit their red sashes to symbolize the blood lost over their white tears. Linda, excluded in her red dress and white sash, trying to belong, has left arm bent up and right arm bent in, that slides in and out along with left knee sliding in and out. Gal pals spin toward us, pushing their savior when no one asks for it. They tiptoe back in embarrassment. To the notes, they hop an arabesque to show off their dainty womanhood. They lean deeper in the arabesque. Feet come together as they sway to the bassoon like flowers in the breeze. Linda joins them from afar. Legs sweep as they kick and push Linda from afar, and she bends over from that blow. White feminism hits heavy. They start to waltz towards the left as nothing happened as Linda recovers. Linda still tries to join as they continue to make beautiful steps across the stage and continue to shower us in charity. And again, no one asked for this. Hands rise as wrists cross. It seems as though there's a genuine moment to wash out inequities, but really it's just whitewashing the past. Under a moment of shared feminism, like the Pussy Hat movement, Linda leans back, and the gal pals catch her. Renewed. They spin together, Linda with even more vigor. Right leg swings up and around. They deeply bend with heads raised. Rise to spin and back into a deep bend. They slowly rise. Left hand rises over to cross right wrist. To the piano trills, they step back as if they'll find an answer in past feminist. You know, the racist ones. Hands connect and push out to the side as it leads them to spin as hands release. Linda has hands connected like a pendulum swinging, waiting for the times to change. Kylie, Sam, and Claire continue their work without including Linda's thoughts at all, but for the sake of all women. Okay? They hop in place, never getting anywhere, while right hand arcs up and over and down into a deep bend. With the sax, Sam, then Kylie, then Claire rise and lower. Linda rises and stays so we see her fully. To the vibraphone they rise. Linda stretches out from preconceived notions, all cross left hand over right wrist. They break out into their own phrases. Gal pals continually moving without Linda's insights, literally looking away from her as they continue moving. Linda, hoping in the good of women empowering women, tries to clean away the new mess that these gal pals create when they post a black square in a Juneteenth infographic without addressing things like BIPOC women couldn't vote in 1820, but white women could, and stops there. Linda starts to move around the space, still cleaning up the mess from those before her. Arms sling forward as she spins in a circle around the stage, moving around gal pals in their actually terrifying feminism that is only uplifting a certain type of woman and not all, which is still under the guise of white supremacy. Linda stays safe out there. Gal pals continue moving as one unit, impermeable to change. As hands connect, they release to side as wrist and right ankle extend and rotate. They stretch on the floor. Left leg hand kicks around to face back, bouncing on hands with right leg extended. Linda is avoiding the scary white savior complex these gal pals have going on, navigating her way around the wildness. Gal pals back bend, reaching up to be grounded in the philosophy of trickle-down feminism, which doesn't work, by the way. Linda pauses in front of them to have right hand bent into left arm bent up that slides out as she finds beauty in the abstract shapes that leads to the innovative ideas we can be more intersectional in our feminism work. Linda reaches up right arm as gal pals seated lift their right then left leg. They're starting to get the point, but not quite yet. Linda's wrist and gal pals ankles cross. all face back as they start pedaling their feet in a lunge. Real equity is brutal and exhausting. It takes time to build momentum, not just in goals, but in trust of all communities. Linda rises, trying to catch their attention of barriers that multiply marginalized folks as women and non-binary folks face, but the Gal Pals keep on their course, blocking out common sense. Gal Pals drop to the ground and roll over, feeling content as if they did something. Swiping away their not-so-hidden biases, they come up doing this work. All enter into a very deep bend with right arm curved up and left arm curved in. They slowly rise in unison. Right, then left arm, crosses abdomen. They push 2 fingers out with the peace sign as the Gal Pals hand gesture, which has nothing to do at all with the Girl Scouts hand gesture. It lowers and rises up renewed. Let's invert the story, shall we? What if we acknowledge the harm particularly white women, but other identities as well, have done under the guise of white supremacy? As dancers slowly spin like a dancer in a jewelry box, they rise on their toes while this creepy tone plays. What if we as a community did real equity work internally and collectively to ensure that we understand the depths of this trauma? From white women colonizing Africa as missionaries to save them, to white women calling Black and brown youth underserved from broken homes in need of their help through their nonprofits. Let's push back against this. Spinning left and swaying to the right, they enter a deep bend. Gal Pals lower to the sky as they humble themselves in learning more and letting conscious and unconscious biases float away. Linda now is faced with the task of skipping over their barriers. Sure, it is in the process of dismantling, but that doesn't mean immediately. Real equity shifts take time, and it doesn't matter any less as Linda waits for them to catch up to what she already knows. And it is exhausting to see because she has to keep skipping and keep skipping, lifting her legs as she grows weak, approaching burnout. To the sacks, Gal Pals rise, better than we left them. Sam, Kylie, and Claire at each note. Now we're integrating into the community and working together. Linda's arms out at her sides, they lift her up, uplifting her story and carrying the burden so Linda doesn't have to. They lower her, each lunging out in a different sides, while Linda leans back, taking the moment in, walking, left arms circle as they bend and build connected energy into this movement. They roll down and rise, facing back, they rise on their toes with curved arms up. Right then left hand slowly lower with feet tapping the ground, showing such strength and delicate movements. Pivot front arms lower to bend and at their sides, reaching towards the right, then left, and an arabesque, all taking a moment to see them fully in their complex identities, now truly working as intersectional feminists instead of white feminists. That's just white supremacy in fancy letters. They reach left, then right, rounding this work to be an example for all. Backs of hands connect and push through center for this work to spread to different communities, swinging down and up, allowing themselves to feel the ecstatic whirlwind when we connect to others with dignity and not pity. They step backwards in different directions with hands and shoulders rotating. They form a diamond facing into each other. Across from each other, Linda and Claire grab hands, then Kylie and Sam stepping in and releasing, making a bigger diamond. They spin in a large circle around the stage and pause. They step into each other again, Claire and Linda's, then Kylie and Sam's ankles connecting, their hands overlap in a moment of community intimacy. They spin out to each corner. Hands reach up, grounded in their truth, and lower to kneel with hands clasped. They rise with hands spinning up, committed to continue their unlearning, committed to show their communities this new way of being that equitably includes everyone. Claire spins to the floor in front of Linda. Linda rises on Claire's back with Linda's legs bent up behind and holding onto her shoulders. Kylie and Sam support Linda's legs, a moment of truly uplifting people and stories that haven't been told. And we're just getting started. Like disjointed memories, we move to a place that seems present but reeks of outdated mindsets. Left to right, Lauren, Shai, Carmen, and Kate stand. Right arm slides across chest, reaching for inclusion, and rises towards the ground. They lower as left arm rises towards the ground. Left knee and elbow connect and extend out. Leg swivels to the saxophone notes. To release, they bend down towards the sky, hoping to go high as others go low in this racial equity superhero stereotype. Hand to head as they look up to the ground, seemingly elevating racial consciousness, but is only driving further into the ground. They slide into a plank to the right, then left, pushing hands against ways to further include multiply marginalized BIPOC, then rise. They whip torsos around and pause to lean their torso and left leg up to make a T with their body and repeat to the right. They slide into a deep bend with arms looking up but to the ground, still committed to their version of equity work. They brush their foot and spin to the right, committed to their equity trainings but not equity practice, showing up how accepting they are to all people externally while doing nothing internally. Bent left leg rises and swings to the side while bending with arms curved in. They spin and flow through the body, inviting us into this time of racial reckoning. They lower to the sky and roll in the clouds of their expectation of a racially just society while leaving some of us behind. Legs bend into each other as they extend out into this dream state. They thought this dream state would be a congratulatory space to pat on the back for their job well done. And this isn't that. They sit on their knees and wave arms like fleeting interest. Let's cut to the chase. Your racial equity work that is inaccessible, only considers cisgender folks, only accepts respectability politics, and denies low-income or houseless perspectives and more is white supremacy under the guise of stop dividing interest and unite under one cause. Please. They stand on their knees and roll back down to the sky as hands flourish. Some of our greatest ableism instances, individually and as a company, have been from BIPOC and especially Black leaders who perpetuate the idea that our work is separate from racial equity, that our people are not a part of their community served, and it hurts. It really hurts. Right, then left hand slides up chest and into the air. Some of us feel at the intersections of race and disability, queer, trans and disability, and more like we are not a part of Black Boston or other diverse communities. Their equity meetings happen without captions and translators. They refuse to change flash photography or have flashing lights at events. They take place in ADA non-compliant buildings. My favorite is, can you hear me without a mic? I don't need it. You don't, but we might. Sitting on knees as hands continue to sway up. How can you call yourself abolitionist while actively excluding so many? No longer in the New Boston. They rise to spin. What if we allow this time for radical reimagining? What if instead of thinking about how much BIPOC and especially Black folks are oppressed in one way, we consider that some of us are oppressed even more in the community? What if we stopped and truly listened and learned from all so we can liberate all? Standing and quivering as they unlearn their biases and activism work, reaching down and up twice, starting to take in what that means for their movement work. They start to run around each other, starting to avoid accountability and the hard truth that their work has actually serves the very cause they want to fight against. And to be clear, this is not a judgment. This is a reckoning to learn and push our shared goal of liberation, but for everyone. They form a square and spin at different times. Right foot taps up leg as arms rise. They jump into a lunge and reach left, then circle arm up while facing right and looking up. Assessing what their ground principles had been to evaluate what stays and what goes, Katie and Carmen reach left, then jump with legs bent to the left as Shy and Lauren stay still, figuring out how to integrate themselves into this movement. Katie and Carmen kick while leaping again with legs bent to the right. Their bent right knee and elbow almost connect and pivot out. They lunge while caressing face, centering themselves in this moment when they shouldn't be. They deeply bend to the sky, realizing they have learning to do. Face right as arms rotate and grasp head to continue absorbing knowledge from theory and folks' lived experiences. They slide into split as Shy and Lauren bend with wrists together and hands out, integrating themselves into their movement so they are not forgotten. Katie and Carmen rise. They slink side to side, trying to show their strength, but realizing their strength in stillness and listening. Lauren and Shy walk backward, then up to Kate and Carmen. Their right arm interlocks with Kate and Carmen's inner arms. Release, and they whip torsos around, elated in this prospect of inclusion. They walk in between Kate and Carmen to lunge, rolling through their torsos. Skipping to be in front of them, they pull their leg as they begin this work of bringing racial equity advocates further in their equity journeys. Ankles tap as they swing leg around. Shy and Lauren swivel leg to extend behind facing left. Hands connect as they extend out. Back to back, Kate and Carmen bend down as they carry the weight of Shy and Lauren. Carrying the burden of access education so they don't have to explain how they exist in every room they enter. Their torso rolls as they come down. Lauren and Shy sweep to the side as Carmen and Kate roll towards the left. Carmen lies on top of Kate as she rolls over her, starting this long, uncomfortable, reciprocal journey of being more intersectional in their activism. Regardless of how either identifies, it is still rooted in white supremacy when they are not thinking about liberation of all BIPOC and actively intend to leave some behind. Shy and Lauren on the borders silently swept their work forward, even if they are not recognized for their part in pushing their movement forward towards all. Carmen rises to arabesque using Kate's hand in a moment of community. They skip in different directions and face in different ways in a line. Shy, Kate, Lauren, and Carmen form the line. They lean on each other in a moment of realizing community is the only way we'll move forward. Kate and Lauren rotate torsos in and out of the sequence. Shy and Carmen make large circles with their arms like the wheels of a wheelchair, and Kate and Lauren's like the axle that keeps the equity movement stable and connected and forever moving. What if in the New Boston we learned from and embraced neurodivergence as a diverse mind capable of anything instead of a deficit? Leslie and Jamie face us with right bent arm and left bent leg rising and down, arms straighten to spin them with arms diagonally, arms wrapped in a moment of self-soothing and with overstimulation, legs kick back and forth in a comforting repetition. They open up and skip back with arms circling. They repeat this phrase to the right as stemming gives them strength. Right arm bends up and left arm swipes across it in this beautifully abstract shape. Spinning and hopping side to side creates this fuzzy frame feeling as the clock melts, making time abstract too. Arms rise. Right arm and left leg bend up, facing left, then right. Arms brush off distractions as they hyper-focus on this dance. Like a pendulum rocking on a clock, they sway left to right, bigger and bigger. Right arm circles overhead and leads to spin them in a form of self-regulation. Feet tiptoe around the floor to minimize sensation. Leg kicks around with arms curved up to face left. Right, then left hand comes to head in the strain of processing new movements and social interactions. Hands release to lower torso, reaching in the same direction and spinning underneath arm as bent right arm lowers with left arm extended. They hop into a deep bend, rooted in the sky as arms open wide. They lower to sky, embracing the breeze of fleeting memories. Curved arms rise and open. reaching down to pivot up with left bent leg facing in towards each other, looking down with bent arms at their faces if searching for the right words in the middle of a brain fog. Unwrapping and spinning with arms at their sides like a fidget toy. They pause as arms bend in. They flick back assumptions of what neurodivergence looks like as they repeat movements in a moment of self-soothing. Now is a good time to remind you that neurodivergence is more than autistic white boys. They circle with bent arms to show the abstraction of neurodivergence. They lower to their knees, reaching out hands to offer that neurodivergence is even more than autism. Lowering to sit with left arm extended out. Rooted in the sky and spectrum of this identity, pushing pelvis up with arm to assert femininity in this identity. Setting arms grab head as they deal with the frustrations of a mind in a world not made for us. Bending into themselves and reaching up. One arm extending out for relief from the brain fog of this strange neurotypical way of thinking. Finding balance in the wind of swirling thoughts, they rise with hands on the ground. Right leg kicked side to side and across as they stand and pivot back. They both find comfort in different stemming ways. FYI, stemming is not just making weird movements, but using the body to calm ourselves in a very triggering world. In the new Boston, this is normalized in every space and every position, including executive leadership. Arms continue to brush off how in the past we've masked our memory loss, twitching, and other ways we've tried to fit in. Left arm guides right hand around to face right. Struggling to balance between intrusive thoughts, they slide into a lunge. Back right leg bends up as torso lowers to fit in the theme of abstract shapes, like abstract thoughts in our mind. Arms bend in at their chest facing us as they lower into an arabesque, showing us how to understand our diverse minds and bodies. Spinning to face left with right and left hand, pushing against societal norms meant to exclude us. Hands slide up to head as we work through the intensity of brain fog while still performing and existing in a neurotypical way. They walk backwards against this need to mask how they exist from the old Boston. Right hand rises as left hand lowers it to left hip as hands slip over into the right arm, circling and reaching out and down. Arms form a V, then hands make fist over their chest. Torso rolls in this moment of self-actualization. Left hand caresses cheek and down as they find comfort within their community. They hop into an arabesque in a moment of joy. Hand circles around as they skip right to left like the nonlinear journey of time we neurodivergence experience, but we always support one another, like Jamie's and Leslie's, arms interlocking. They connect in various ways like we support one another with diagnosis information, medicine reaction, executive functioning hacks, and the reminder of our humanity in an old Boston that refused to see us as capable employees and leaders in the workplace and overall community. Leslie's hand slides down Jamie's arms in a moment of decreasing overstimulation that causes many of us to pause at life, release facing each other's hands and ankles crossed. Jamie supports Leslie as she leans back with right leg rising in a moment of reciprocal care from neurodivergent folks. Stepping away and facing each other, hands come to opposite shoulder as they step towards the right corner as hands make patterns touching different parts of the body and hop to repeat towards left corner. Ankles connect as they push away from each other again. Hand touches forehead in a moment of relief, looking up towards grass and down to the sky with bent knee connecting to elbow. Pivot to front, left wrist and rising ankle turn in a moment of calming the body and owning their own crib time. Left arm extends to side as they lunge forward. Hands bent in at their sides as torso rolls, wondering how to get folks to embrace the new Boston now that more neurodivergents are proud and safe to be out. They jump into an X, back in, and again, each time nurturing their needs and their time for themselves to be. Hand shoots out in a diagonal as they hop left and right, facing front, their hands clasped as left leg rises and pivots to face right. Lower torso rolls as hands release. They rise with bent arms and bent knee rising. Torso lowers as arms circle them around to the left. Arms release and make an X across the chest as they slowly pivot. They lower to the sky as their neurodivergent identities are being questioned in this time of community seeking. Rounding higher into the sky, they explain how neurodivergent includes many identities, including PTSD, epilepsy and seizure-causing disorders, traumatic brain injuries, ADHD, and more. Which is what literally all of us dancers, myself and Andrew, identify as. And these identities manifest in different ways when you take into account racial, cultural backgrounds, regional dialects, and more that exist on a spectrum far beyond autism, which is a more resourced and understood. That is until you get out of the K-12 system and become an adult. That's for next year's ballet. They rise. They continue openly stimming in an act of defiance. They set the tone for what it would mean with neurodivergence as a norm, and things like direct language, easy access to resources, and other elements that make the city truly welcoming to all minds. Back to back, in the back, Leslie bends backward as Jamie supports her, bending over. They release. Wrist cross and hands connect in a moment of access intimacy. Hands cross chest and release as they do a series of spins towards the front, each time picking up their inner leg to the alternate knee as they grace us with their presence. Right bent arm rises as head tilts right. Left bent arm rises to hip as they embrace the metaphysical relationship between mind and body. Hand touches forehead as they look up to grasp and ground at that in crib time. The past and present will always converge for many neurodivergent folks, but we continue on this wonderfully complex and new Boston where our voices will matter. They stretch into a deep bend as hands wrap themselves around in a hug, an act of self-care as wrists cross and hands rotate around each other and rise. Hands release as arms make large circles around, reminding us that time isn't linear and we must learn from and embrace the past and present if we can ever sustain change in Boston in the future, for neurodivergence and all. Leslie, Andrea, and Jamie stand, forming a triangle representing strength and unity. Bent right arm and left leg rise. They pivot to face Hello, and welcome back from Inversion. So glad to have you. I forgot a few things, but in my defense, I didn't have time. Okay, so first, I forgot to note that Sam unfortunately had a family emergency and could not perform. So Dara stepped in yesterday for scene 1 and did the whole thing as Sam. So thank you, Dara. We appreciate it, and you were a baddie. The other is that there are audio descriptions of our sets and costumes that will be on the website tomorrow. Unfortunately, we're not up yet tonight, but they will be. But so you know, so it does make sense. We have grass that is up and sky that is down. So if that didn't make sense in the audio descriptions, now you know. And the other is that the show, on our scene 5, our large group scene, there will be an ending where the curtain will lower. The show is not done yet. We will have scene 6 come up as the curtains rise. We just need to close the curtains to set what we need to set for that scene. Please do not leave or log off. The last is just a personal one. I make jokes in my audio descriptions. Please laugh loudly at them, but no pressure. No pressure at all. A little, not. All right, and enjoy the rest of Act 2. Woo! This journey has been long and exhausting. Leslie, Andrea, and Jamie stand, forming a triangle representing strength and unity. Bent right arm and left leg rise. They pivot to face back on their knees. In the midst of chaos, moving slow. Legs swiping behind as arms wrap, looking over their shoulder at us, looking left, then right, wondering if the audience sees beyond the shine into their daily fatigue. Right, then left leg lifting while on knees as they look again, inviting us into the story. Facing front with arms extended on one knee. Left hand lowers as right leg extends into a side plank. The intensive movements match the intensive energy they've been putting out in order to do this work. They lower into seated with knees bent out at their sides, bent arms rise, left arm, then right arm, arcs overhead. Legs slide in as arm bends over each other in this abstract shape of delirium. Bent arms at their sides to question how they got here. They reach left, then right. Hands bend into themselves as if trying to do self-care, but fleeting as it extends out. They extend arms up, hoping to be balanced and rooted in the ground. Right arm arcs over as it carries left arm to the left. They repeat to the right as if they're becoming too weak to continue. They push into a plank and roll up to stand. Arms circle behind as if time is vanishing and they can't grasp it. Spinning left, then right. They push against these ideas of what it means to be an advocate while also finding within themselves how to continue this work without the burning out that makes us leave the field. Right foot swings back and forward flex as the heel rests on the floor and arms bend in. They spin out and lunge with elbows bent up. They spin again, and right leg extends to bend to the ground. Right hand pushes to the right, left hand pushes to the left, more wearily asking for assistance on their path to total burnout. Right hand circles around left as it continues to spin them around to stand. Hand slowly lowers to their side. They swing their torsos in a moment to center and block out external pressures. Lifting heels, they deeply bend with right arm arced up as they bend back, still showing grace in this tiring moment as they rise. They walk in a circle around the stage, rubbing their sternum as a form of self-soothing, calming the body during this heightened state of hyper-awareness. Feet slide behind them. Their hands roll up to their face. In a moment of running through racing thoughts of the mind, they lower their upper body, grabbing headache in to rise up. Feeling the weight of this work, right bent leg rises. They spin with torso lowered. Swinging arms behind them in a release and back. Elbows and right leg bend in to touch each other. They reach out and hoping for the rest and tranquility. Bent arms in and right bent leg rise as if offering the idea of peace during an intensive period, an intensive 2 years and more. They lean to the side and rotate to face right into an arabesque. Right then left arm bend into side as they pivot front. Right hand slides down left arm as we wipe away the even stronger burnout feelings for those who exist in the communities the organization is supposed to support. Hand pushes out as they spin. It opens up at the thought of new practices and closes back in at the extra work to develop new practices. Arms open up anyway for the long-term investment in self. Arms extend to side as they deeply bend, hands connected in the sky. They slowly rise, committed to taking care of self as a form of community care. Arms rise as they balance on toes. They slowly walk into arabesque to bring more enjoyment and fluidity to the movement. Spin and skip back with more joy. They think of different ways that they've been burned by the arts and culture sector, moments of rest they found with each other. Leslie creating an abstraction within her mind that she has felt in the studio when rehearsal practices didn't consider her needs. Jamie's exhaustion for multiple entities and the need for support when she lays on the back of Andrea. Andrea has felt the weight of this work, carrying Jamie while struggling to move forward. They release as Andrea and Leslie both caress each other's faces in a moment of access intimacy as Jamie makes abstract shapes in an arc across the stage. They come into each other and extend out. Jamie and Andrea reach towards each other. Leslie breaks that, inviting more community in as they face back. Arms wrapped around each other, they lower to the ground. Circle right leg around to kneel. Resting on knees, they look back to us. Seeing if we understand the toil of burnout of work in ourselves. Arms cascade on each other's shoulders. They sweep back, around, on the floor. Bent arms rise. They pivot to the front with arms rooted in a sky of possibilities. Arms open up. Leslie facing back and center, Andrea and Jamie on either side, rotating through their torsos in a lunge to create a wave of community care amidst the burnout, to remind each other of their humanity, that it is okay to take a break, especially when the identity is your work. They roll across each other. Leslie's arm reaches on Jamie's chest as Andrea kneels in front of her, bent with arms extended at their side. They rise to stand side by side, knocking each other's shoulders in a moment of full release, knowing they're supported. They release, forming a triangle with Leslie as the top point, sharing her knowledge of continuing to thrive in this challenging landscape. Hands open in the center as they bend deeply and back. They sway in the comfort that they will rest and heal with community. 9 dancers stand stoically across the stage, their various colors representing the various identities they hold, walking towards us with arms outstretched, bending to gather the roots of community support and rising higher than before. Leaning to left and bending deeply. Right arm circles overhead, adding connectedness to each other, being in unison. They rise with arms reaching out. Left leg rises and circles around like a compass needle looking for siblinghood. Bending deeply again to find those roots as arms circle overhead again to find the cycles of various communities one finds in a lifetime. Bent left leg rises as they rotate like a dancer in a jewelry box. Alone but poignant. They find their individual voices and movements, starting with shy, reaching down and up, looking for community in this new Boston landscape, opening up the space for others to lend their voices. Andrea reaches down for a deeper sense of community, surrounded but still isolated, spinning and opening up arms for Linda to join. Linda receives that offering as she faces back with arms curved, waving like the highs and lows in finding community outside of Boston and in DC. Hands connect, pushing out and overhead as torso drops from the exhaustion of finding a new city. Kylie understands that sentiment but rises in hope, leg kicking forward and back at the toil community work can take. Resisting that burnout and gracefully lunging to pause and rest as an act of community care. Claire lunges to continue the community work and pushes one hand out as the other slides down her arm as a violin bow slides on its string. They release and open up as she spins in the new freedom abolishing white feminism gives to all, including liberation to white women. Wrapping herself in care, Dara also wraps hands around her torso as hands connect and swaddle herself and others in the access intimacy community provides and finds rest. Kate meets her at the resting point and continues swiping foot across the floor to clean out discrimination in all forms of the community, realizing the intersection all systems of oppression rely on and opening self up for Lauren and Carmen to embrace, swiping hand across chest as they work together to swipe out the ableism within racial equity work. Realizing without is just another fluid connection to white supremacy, they call on all in the community for this moment of reckoning. Everyone's right hand rises and flows down the center of their body, arms windmill as they spin. Right bent leg rises and opens up as they navigate this new siblinghood. Facing back, right leg rises as hands find their roots in the ground and sit. Arms rise to the right and left like the flowing nature of mutual aid that gives and receives. Right leg extends back as torso rests on floor and rises with leg rising like the black Ariel we're excited to see soon. It swipes around as right hand rests on me, waiting for the representation we demand to see on screen, on stage, and in all forms of leadership. Pivot on my knee to face front, left arm rises, and swings down to hold into stay. They spin and push against isolating and dividing forces. Arms float through space like a radical movement building as they spin. They step backwards as wrists turn, shaping their collective identity. Right and left leg rises to the side as arms extend, adding even more force to this movement. They spin their community, arms swing down and up as they hop and spin in this grand unison of pure breath, adding elegance into their radical movement. They spin with leg dragging like a compass, creating the structure for all to thrive here. They spin to the right and leap or lower to the floor. They rise on their knees with arms extended, right arm bends back, left arm extended like a bow shooting an arrow through respectability, politics, and all the thinly veiled antiquated ways of working that are prettier form of maintaining oppression. They rise to stand. Arms rise, crossed at wrist. It lowers to the left as hands hold onto these beams, then squash as hands connect and windmill in celebration. The group splits in two as they skip to the outer edges, pushing the work further, and then back to lean in on community. Facing back, arms rise as they look up towards the grass of the inverted New Boston. Hands float down like flower petals going down towards the sky, shifting like autumn to make way for something beautiful. They take time to walk around the space, meeting each other's eyes as they make these instant and fleeting moments of connection in different communities. They form a half circle, inviting us to see their individual voices again and say their truths. Andrea starts from the far right, walking into the center and spinning while the rest stoically sixth hand, sending healing and connection to the center, opening arms up and lunging, right hand holds left elbow as it slides to wrap, then reaches up and brings energy into their stomach, feeling nourished by the connections here. They walk back to their place as Carmen enters, reaching out to express herself in her pockets of community, reaching in different directions to get enrichment from different communities to make herself whole. Arms swing down as foot taps and she repeats, calling on her core group to help navigate this new Boston. She reaches up to the grass to find the earth expanding towards equity. Carmen leaves as Linda enters. Linda finds community virtually, like many of us do, and escaping the inaccessibility of so many events and venues. There's a platform that is more equitable where we can connect, laugh, cry, and feel the universal desire to belong in any space we enter. Linda leaves as Dara enters. Listening to others in their journeys, she slowly rotates with bent left leg and elbow connected and lifted. It extends out as arms open wide to wrap around herself as she feels community and sharing her journey. She spins. Elbows push through the space to protect from any forms of inequity. She invites us to listen to others' journeys for a more equitable community as she leaves. Kate enters kneeling, then sitting on ground. Left arm rises as she's rooted in the sky, traveling from West Coast to this new Boston. Arm and knee rotates to right as wrist cross and rise. She knows rebuilding community like equity work takes time. It must happen brick by brick so that it cannot wait. Kate leaves as Lauren enters. Lauren steps to center with arms continuing to build brick by brick like she built her new crafting business in JP. She leans and kicks. Hands open like a book with her handmade book corners in her book club. Arms rise as leg kicks and brushing off notions of neighbors having ill intent. She knows her community can be there for her like she is for them. Lauren spins away. enters center in a deep lunge as her arms make a large circle overhead, feeling supported in her dance collective. Arms crossed as she arabesques and slowly spins like a dancer in a jewelry box, understanding the power dance has to change mindsets and communities. In a deep bend, realizing that it won't always be perfect, but the community will always hold her accountable in unintentional harm and actively working to ensure those harms don't repeat. She leaves as Shy enters. Shy reaches up, left hand overlaps right as fingers form this web as they spin, like the web of meeting different needs, and how access intimacy is interdependent to ensure there is space for all to thrive. Hands release as torso dives with arms rising like diving into a new Boston that dismantles capitalism and ensures everyone has their needs met to stay alive, and moves toward a community that focuses on radical joy in the aftermath. They leave as Kylie enters. She lunges to the right with left hand on right arm, rising her foot makes circles on the ground as she draws out dreams of a future with multiple layers of community able to show up for one another. She spins at the exhilaration one finds in this new Boston. Right arm then 10 and left arm extended. She walks, then runs along the half circle, taking the beauty of diversity in our city that we don't take time to honor enough. She returns, then deeply lunges and extends arms out, inviting everyone to come together. They form a line, like dominoes of joy and community and intersectional equity work. They make various poses, leaning on each other, Claire balancing on hands, wrapping legs around Kate and Kylie supporting her upper body, Shy and Lauren making a heart to remind all that at the heart of this equity work is love. Dara supporting Carmen's hips as she thrust in the support offered, all pausing in this moment of a representation of the new Boston. The curtains open. All 5 paintings arc around white silks hanging in the center. Elise, I am bent with crutches. Head circles around to stand. I spin to notes and extend arms out. Have we found what the through line is between all of these pieces? It's intersectionality, Angela. All of these experiences happen to a Black, openly disabled woman, often at the same time hoping to find community in various movements. I use openly disabled because I've had more and more Black women and non-binary folks in arts and culture and or in Boston reach out with our specific overlapping concerns and needs as I realize this isn't quite specific to me. While I use the journey of myself and others to hear, to feel the arc and the story so that it continues to be more universal, this is where it started. I slowly walk in a deep lunge and up to stand and repeat. It has been a long journey. I started the first painting as I dropped first crutch and hands float next to it. Gal pals. Sorry. This story has been a longer, more sinister tale, starting with suffragettes, where white women began getting more autonomy through missionary work, right to vote, and all the while in leadership over nonprofits, as transporters of white supremacy in lands and neighborhoods not theirs. Someone should really tell them they'll never get full rights because patriarchy can't be separated from white supremacy. I spin to the next painting and drop other crutch, letting both hands roam. Similarly, there's been some real nasty ableism in racial equity work. I and others have openly felt it. Others secretly have felt it for job security, desire to feel connected in community, and other very, very valid reasons. Someone really should tell the racial equity folks inaccessibility is killing us, and ignoring those, especially identifying as BIPOC, to only think of racial equity work in non-disabled terms first and only is eugenic type stuff, which also can't be separated from white supremacy. Spinning to the next painting, I love how this painting makes the abstract shapes from our neurodivergent piece real. Because of reasons identified in the last painting, I did not publicly identify as neurodivergent because of those specific identities within until this year, until I felt I had the job security to openly share, which is still a fear, but silence killed and it was literally killing me. And then others came out or finally got the diagnosis they've waited years for, and showing the beautifully abstract shapes we can create with our movement or music or whatever else we create or contribute, we're able to normalize a beautifully wide spectrum of brains that see and process the world differently. I spin to the next painting, bending a bit and growing tired. Everyone's favorite topic, burnout. We feel it a lot in arts, culture, nonprofit, or service work. We feel it especially hard when we identify with the communities we're serving. You work harder because you know they deserve the world or loved ones you never forgot. I continue to explore heavier hand and leg movements here. And a great place to add my special flavor of burnout. Because of my experiences, I want folks to get paid as equitably as possible, doing only or close to the roles they were hired for, and not because I have some control issue. I'm quick to cut folks off and say, please check in with Elizabeth or get Andrew's approval, etc. So those we do have feel the agency and leadership they're able to have. Until I get there, I do more than I should so I can get funds to delegate and add even more to. Community. Next painting. Listening to others explain their connection or disconnection to different forms of community made for a very large dancer-led piece. My favorite is leaving the virtual room or in-person room and allowing folks to either create and try out new ideas or just be present with one another. It not only creates a strong work community, but one that is beyond just product and cares about the well-being and joy of everyone in the room. I walk back to my crutches and waltz towards the center. I pirouette, feeling the energy of all of those pieces radiating to and from me as we all have mindsets shifted and personal or professional protocols advocated for because of this work. Right arm points left and around to graze silk and back. I lower to the ground and drop both crutches. Right hand points up to the sound of the music. Left wrist crossing over right wrist as it comes to touch right shoulder, then both hips and down into a semi-plank, rolling over to one side as I contract out and in, rolling back up to knees with left hand touching ground and right hand rising with right leg extending out. Repeat to the left side. Wrists come together for hands to curve up. They release as backs of hands touch and drive down while arms extend out. Bent arms come in as right palm and left palm reach up. Left hand lowers to ground as pelvis pushes up in a moment of seeing more of me, seeing more of all of us. It lowers to rest back on knees, hands clasp as they lower on a diagonal. Release to right hand shooting up and lowering on a diagonal to bring them to sit on my knees. I grab crutches and rise to stand. I spin and spin until I'm on the silk's right side. I release my left crutch on the diagonal and then stand on the silk's left side. I release my right crutch in a diagonal to release right hand. I let hands explore the fabric. I grab the silks and make beautiful ripples in the air, like our art going out to everyone. My limbs fall in and out of view as I move through these ripples, making sense of this new Boston in light of the very real old one. My brain moves in and out of time because of PTSD and other neurological disorders. I'll say for next year's ballet, but like Dissociation for a Cause, it moves in and out of what my hopes could be for my city. I grab the silks to stop standing behind them as my arms rise at side in the V and grab to make a large knot, like Dora the Explorer standing in front to put straps on like a backpack. I turn to face back and I then invert myself where my legs are extended out on one side, then bend in to extend again. My right leg rising up one silk as my left leg extending out in front like a gazelle-like shape. I twist my body to make a beautiful arabesque shape, holding onto one silk, looking down. Release to be upright with one leg bent on the silk and the other bent underneath. I spin, hanging on with both arms as I then lean back and enjoy this moment. I bring in my feet to breathe and I stand. It's the hardest thing I've ever done, but I stand. And I don't have to breathe so hard now. I can just exist. One foot comes to a knee as the other slowly extends out like a goddess archer. My right hand daintily and forcefully makes movements that bring back home, whether through wild aerial work or just with my hand. I command attention with all versions of dance. I sit again. I step out of the knot and sweep crutches away. With hands still sliced through the silks, I take steps around the circle and leads me to hold lights up as I run. I feel the exhilaration of running and soaring I can't feel in the old Boston. I pause and take my body fully out of the silk. Holding the bottom, I gather at the silk as I walk backwards. Like trying to unfurl time, I wonder how I, or any of us at this point, could go back to the old Boston, to inaccessible art, to charity that will never mean equity, and so much more. Let's stay here a little longer. I walk to the center, holding silks, and walk around it. I wrap my leg around the fabric and tie my foot in a hold. I stand. I circle my entire body around the hold, using my arms to pull my full body around the silk 2 times. I take a moment to rest and let my free arms and leg dangle in the air, enjoying the magic of this moment, uplifting the disabled aerial royalty friends that introduced me to this work, like Toby McNutt, Kinetic Light, and the countless others I don't know but have the pleasure of being connected in community. I unentangle my body from the fabric and unhook my body. I take a moment to breathe, wrapping my arms around the fabric as I allow my torso to bend over as I struggle to breathe. I know the new Boston isn't real, but why can't it be? Why can't the things that exist in my dreams, my company's dreams, our community's dreams, exist in our city? I fall to my knees and rise, knowing this bridge between new and old has lasted for generations past and for generations to come, as long as we continue forward. While we're here, let's make dope art and do real equity for ourselves and our communities, and remember to still enjoy the vibrancy and beauty of life while we do it. Day by day, spin by spin.